What is the secret ingredient to the secret ingredient soup? Nothing. And honestly, this changes everything and nothing at the same time. Let me go ahead. I want to show you, to me, the definitive build for prank kids and why I believe that that would be. Thank you so much for being valued subscribers, even if I haven't been there. I do have my own reasons behind not being behind the camera, and it's mainly because I just found no reason for me to go ahead and explain myself when it comes to prank kids Meow Meow. However, every time I thought about this, I thought this was something that changed everything. And thank you again, Jordan, for giving me these. They mean so much to me, just the proxy, so I can try out how this deck works. Now, for those who have been living under a rock and haven't been on Facebook, YGO organization, any type of Yu-Gi-Oh thing at all for the last, month, we have gotten a brand new card, Prank Kids Meow Meow, and it's actually a pretty simple card, but it's exactly what I've been looking for. So its effect, well, it's a link one, which is all the Prank Kids needed. They needed a 1-card extender for their pieces. It requires a 1 level 4 lower Prank Kid, so obviously we can't go ahead and activate Instant Fusion and go into this, but I don't know why we would do that. But there's 2 effects part of it. So first is its condition, which is it can only be link summoned once. That does not mean we cannot special summon it more than once, and I want to inform you about that because that's going to be important sometime in the future. The second one is when your during your opponent's turn, when you would activate a Prank Kids card that would tribute itself to activate a card effect, you can banish this card instead. That gives so much for this deck that I would love to go ahead and show you some brand new combos that we'll be showing around this deck. However, I thought the best way to start my channel anew is to go ahead and show you the deck profile that I have been working on for months on end. Now, I have 3 different variants. First off is the one that I am most likely going to be working for, if not sometime in the future. I have a second one that is a more like an Altergeist similar build, and then the third one is the Synchro build, the Adamancipator build that everybody and their mother fell in love with, and I really wanted to show you my updated version if none of the engine pieces end up getting hit. So, without further ado, this is the proxy side deck that I want to show you afterwards, but without further ado, I want to go ahead and show you the brand new era of Prank Kids. So first off, we obviously have the best friends of all, the 12 original Prank Kids. Now, obviously, this has been the standard for Prank Kids. There will never ever be a change for this because they all do the same thing. They start your engine. Then, we've got hand traps. Now, a lot of people that I've been looking for and talking with have been saying that you need to go ahead and run 9 to 12 hand traps to make sure that your Prank Kids deck goes through. And I care to disagree. Now, personally, I decided to go with Infinite Impermanence and Ash Blossom because Infinite Impermanence decides to go ahead and provide the extra push that the deck needs to provide its very powerful plays without requiring a lot of its incomprehensible plays. The other good thing is that it lets you create very oppressive boards by setting 2 to 3. It makes Twin Twisters a lot less comparable to hit the 1 card that you need set, which from now on is going to be the Pandemonium. So I decided to only go with the 6. Now I have a card to replace with the 9 other cards, or with the 3 other cards that would normally replace the 9 cards in the deck, and I actually, or the extra hand trap, which most people are running the Nibiru's, but I wanted to show you something instead. Now, I wanted to make this a going first deck, so I wanted to take a couple liberties. So from now on, we actually don't need more than 1 prank to go off. However, I am running a very draw-heavy engine, or at least a more than 2 desires. So I thought that if I want prank, I would rather get into it later in the game than draw into it. So I dropped it down to 2. However, every time I dropped it down to 1, I found myself getting rid of it more than actually needing it. So at least with 2 pranks, it lets me see it more of a necessity. And then we've got the Pandemonium. I found myself not wanting to drop this. A lot of people are saying, well, if we search it, we can go down to 2 now. But honestly, every time I go ahead and play this, if I run into Nibiru, at least I have a way to go ahead and have set up for the first and second turn. And then finally, my most important are the 15, 16 other prank kids technically. Basically, we just need the 1 card to start our full combo, and that's all we need now. After this deck profile, I'll be showing you the combo. We have Instant Fusion. In case you end up getting Nibiru'd, you do have a backup in regards to this, and I feel like this is the best backup for the deck because you can still go into Rocket Ride and go back into your regular play, but now you have a big token. Then we have 3 Called by the Grave. This is one of the replacements that I decided to do out of the hand traps. I wanted this deck to go first more than go second. The hand traps are only supposed to support the going second support. However, running more than 6 hand traps, you're expecting to open up a lot better. With this lets me understand that the other 4 cards in my hand that I'm going to draw is going to support the board that I'm going to create. And this is basically supporting the board that I'm going to create. And then this is why I'm running the 3 pranks. I'm running 3 desires. 3 desires is way too important for a lot of people, and they believe that if you go ahead and cut it down to 2, it'll be a lot more important. However, I have always been the strong believer that 3 is the most necessity. A lot of people are even cutting the build for, or the card for the build, but I still, again, feel like this is the most important way to run it. Now, normally I would go ahead and show some type of gimmick, or I would go ahead and give people like the biggest option that would be for the deck, but I wanted this to be a standard for people to show off what I believe is going to be the standard for this deck. And in full honesty, I feel like this deck is going to lose to evenly matched, so I wanted to have ways to go ahead and extend into these pieces using 1 to 2 cards. I was also talking with the bigger names in the Prank Kids community, and they ended up saying that Polymerization is going to end up being a very important card in the future for the build. And honestly, I disagree. I personally believe that Polymerization is no longer going to be a necessity in the deck. If not, you don't even need to run it anymore. So I am actually running Ultra Polymerizations. This is an extender. It is not a starter. I want to inform you about that because Polymerization was a starter. This is an extender now. So just like Polymerization, it has a fusion. However, this was frowned upon by the Prank Kids community until Meow Meow came out, because this now provides free advantage. I'll go into this a little bit later in the combo video, but I want to go ahead and show you that this is now going to be a staple in the decks. Finally, I do have 5 more cards left in the deck. First off, we run to plan. Now, a lot of people have been cutting it down to 1. However, I have decided to go ahead and run 2. First one is for the Roaster Butler play, and then the second one is actually so that I can get my recyclability if I cannot go ahead and completely disrupt them by going with a Roaster Bow Wow or not Roaster Bow Wow, but Roaster Butler, or just going into Butler. Now this is what's going to prove to that. And then also drawing into 1, it doesn't make it harder for you to send 1 then, because then you can go ahead and send 1 and recycle something else from the graveyard that would be more useful. And then finally, this is my important piece, the one that I replaced the third set of hand traps. I decided to run Solemn Judgment, and I do have a reason behind this. I understand a lot of people have been considering or saying that I have the definitive builds. Now this is my one gimmick in the deck, and it's less gimmick and more understanding. So Solemn Judgment does exactly what the deck needs. It supports the first turn play. It also ends up avoiding all of these cards that would disrupt it. Stuff like Called by the Grave, Dark Ruler No More, and Evenly Matched. Those get stopped by this, whereas most hand traps just kind of fizzle to that type of situation. So that's why I decided to run that. And then with the extra deck, this one is pretty standard. I have my tokens here. That one's pretty obvious, but we run 2 Meow Meow. This is the new starter, the new piece to make the deck. It is the most important starter for the combo, and I will again show you 1 and 2 card combo at the end of this video, so do make sure to continue watching after this. The Dodo Doodle Doo, you need to run 2 now. A lot of people have been telling me that we need to go ahead and run it down to 3, but at maximum you only need to run 2. 1 you might get away with, but I recommend 2. And then 2 Bow Wow. The reason that we're running 2 Bow Wow now is because it's actually part of the combo, and we can't get rid of our combo pieces. And then obviously the 1 Roaster and 1 Butler. These are your win conditions in every sense. And then we have 2 Rocket Ride, 1 Weather Washer. You barely make this. This is only for OTK purposes, or if need be, if you need to go ahead and double roaster your opponent. Now that is a lot harder to pull off, but technically you could pull it off. Totally awesome. This is a very, very good card. This makes the combos for most of this deck comparable, and yes, we can make Totally Awesome with the Ultra Polymerization still. Abyss Dweller. That one's pretty obvious to point out. However, if you still need help for it, Abyss Dweller is part of the extension combo. And then finally, these are just my win conditions, or less win conditions, and just extenders. Bore Load for the extra damage, basically, and then the Bore Load to go ahead and handle harder to kill monsters, and then the Boral Sword for similar situations, I guess. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you a side deck for this, or at least a current side deck that I would expect you to be running for prank kids in general. So first off, 3 Gamma and 3 Ghost Ogre. If you are living under a rock, you obviously don't understand why we're running Gamma and Ogre now. In the side deck, it is for Numeron. We lose to Numeron. Every deck loses to Numeron, so we side out the Ashes, we side out the Judgments, we put these in, we try and win the game. Nibiru, pretty obvious on this one. Most combo decks end up losing to this card, and I've tried my best to try and counter it. Pankratops. I mean, since we don't need 3 cards in hand to go for combos, and we don't require to go into Pandemonium until later in the combo, we can go ahead and run this now, expecting to go second and get free advantage. 3 Dark Ruler No More, because it's a crazy good card, and Red Reboot. Red Reboot is a very powerful card, and we obviously need it. So, I am going to go ahead and show you the Prank Kids combos. So first off, we need 1 Prank Kids monster. Second off, we need 1 card in hand. That's pretty much it. This is the 1 card Prank Kid combo. I wanted to point out to you, so it's normal summon Prank Kid. We're going to link away into Meow Meow, activate our Prank Kid, and since it's fansies, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the second search piece for the fansies. Now, basically, it does not matter what order the Prank Kids need to go in this situation. However, what is going to be necessary is we are going to understand that we have to do it in this exact line. Otherwise, we won't get the most optimal hand. Now, we're going to chain link 1, chain link 2. We always want to do chain link 2 doodle. The reason that we want to do that is because if we don't chain link 2 doodle, we stop on our turn if they have the ash blossom. If they ashed us with the fansies, then we also stop our turn. However, we do have follow-ups with that, so that is how I go ahead and do that. So we're also going to go ahead, summon this. Again, like I said, remember, you do not need to go ahead and you don't need to understand what prank kids to summon. It doesn't matter, not unless you have a specific combo line that you want to go into. So then we go ahead, we activate this, put these back in here, and then we go put this out here and just put it in a zone that's not in the main monster zone. It makes it easier for you and a lot of other people, or for you as a prank kids player at least. And then we're going to go ahead and summon this guy back, the last prank kid that you need. Now you're going to go ahead and activate Rocket. You're going to summon any prank kid and Dodo Doodle Do. I'm going to go ahead and link away. We're going to summon the Bow Wow Bark. Activate the last prank kid. We're going to banish a card from our hand. We're going to draw a card from our deck. I am just using Pot of Desires as a example because it doesn't actually do anything if you already have your combo. And now what you're going to do is resolve the last one, and then you're going, I personally prefer to summon Fansies. However, if your Fansies was in the last chain, summon any of the other 3 or of the other 2 that's needed for Butler. Now we're going to activate Dodo Doodle Do. Going to go ahead and add the Dropsies, or sorry, not the Dropsies, the Pandemonium, and the Plan. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to set these. And I want to remind you, you also have 3 other cards in hand. So, with this advantage, basically, what we did is we turned 1 card into 4, and then 1 card in our hand into a new one. And if it was a Desires and you didn't need to use the Desires, then you could go ahead and get rid of it and try and dig into something that would be useful. During your opponent's turn, activate the Bow Wow Bark. What we're going to do, instead of tributing it, to get the Roaster and Butler, we're going to banish the Meow Meow instead and add Dropsies and Lampsies. Or, sorry, Flamesies? Yeah, Lampsies. I'm sorry, I'm looking at German. So, what you go ahead and do, on the resolution of that, activate the Pandemonium, Fusion Summon 3 into Butler, and put that right there. We're going to go ahead and go into Butler. 1, 2, 3 into the prank kids here. Summon the last 3 prank kids that you need out of your deck. Personally, make sure that one of them is one of the unused prank kids that's needed. The other 2 mean very little. And then this is why I run the second plan, so that they can't go ahead and OTK you that way. And then you activate the plan, link summon these 2 into your Roaster. Activate the Roxy's, banish a card from hand, draw a card, and special summon a Fansies. And with the cost of 1 card and a banish, we now have Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster with setup for the next turn, and if they attack you, you have the amount of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards to shuffle back to go ahead and try and save your ass from 1 battle. And then once you save your ass from 1 battle, you have a total of 5 cards for your next turn. You wasted no resources to do any of this, other than the cost of 1 monster and a banish. However, there is a combo line later, a little bit earlier down the road that I do want to show you. So we're going to go ahead and back up to the end of your turn. Now, what we have here is our filled up graveyard, right? Sorry, one of the fansies is supposed to be in the deck. Our filled up graveyard here, without these, and this is back. So, instead of using the Meow Meow for the Bow Wow, right? We activate the Bow Wow, we're going to target these two to add to hand. Now, why we're going to do this is it's going to go ahead and make our Butler live for Meow Meow. Personally, I would just summon 3, including a Roxy's. The only necessity that's needed in here is the fact that you summon a Roxy's, send the second plan. Now you can activate Butler once, banish Meow Meow instead, activate Butler again, tribute itself, and you have a double Regeki. And again, you have 4 cards in hand. And if you want to go ahead and get any more advantage, flip up plan, activate plan, link these two into a second Dodo Doodle Doo. This is why I'm saying it's going to be a necessity for you to go ahead and run a second, because it's going to be very important. You're going to go Chainlink 1 Roxy's, Chainlink 2 Dodo Doodle Doo, banish a card from hand, special summon a Prank Kids, and add a Pandemonium. So, and then you draw a card from your hand. So, at the end of your opponent's turn, you're ending with 5 cards in hand. Doodle these two, and you've blown up their field twice. That's why this deck is going to be very, very important. But, finally, I wanted to go ahead and show you my favorite combo between all of this. Prank Kids, Ultra Polymerization, any Prank Kids that is not Lampsies, and 1 card in hand. So technically, it's a 2-card combo. So, I'm going to go ahead and start the normal Prank Kids combo. 1. Into Meow Meow. And now, instead of sending a plan for the fansies, we're actually going to go ahead and send either Dropsies or Roxy's. And it's going to come important sometime in the future, but for right now, we're just going to go ahead and get set up for that choice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and send a Dropsies and summon a Dropsies. We're going to link away into Dodo Doodle Doo, and then with the Dropsies we're going to summon Roxy's, and it's very important that we summon Roxy's because it's going to be very important for the combo. Now Dodo Doodle Doo is going to activate. We're going to add Pandemonium to hand. Now in this situation, normally what you do is you activate Pandemonium and fusion summon into the Rocket Ride. Instead, we're going to use Ultra Polymerization. Pay 2,000, your opponent can't respond to this card. Fusion summon into Rocket Ride. You activate the Roxy's at the resolution. With the Rocket Ride as second, you summon the Lampsies. Now it's very important that we go ahead and summon the Lampsies back, because it's going to be very important for the future. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to activate Ultra Polymerization. It banishes itself, targets the fusion monster or a fusion monster on the field, and then targets the 2 monsters that were used for the summon, and we special summon them back onto the field. Their effects are negated and their attack goes to 0. Now we're going to activate Rocket Ride. We're going to target. Oh, that's right. Normally what we would do is we would target Dropsies and Roxies. However, I made a misplan. I'm going to take this out. Actually, I'm going to point out this. So what we're going to do from this situation, we can't do anything. We actually lost our inherent profit ability out of this combo because I messed up. However, I want to show you what we should have done. So when you send with the Fansies to special summon to Prank Kids, what we want to do is send the other Prank Kids that is not the one that's being summoned. So if it's Dropsies, we gotta send Roxies. If it's Roxies, we gotta send Dropsies. So I'm going to go ahead and put this Dropsies back. And we're gonna put the Roxies in the graveyard. And it's very important because now we can go ahead and resolve the Rocket Ride and put the Roxies and the Dropsies back into the graveyard. Or back onto the field. Now our full field is Dropsies, Doodle, and Roxies, which are negated, Lampsies, and another Roxies. Now what we're going to do, we're going to link away these two into Bow Wow Bark. We're going to summon a Dropsies, and then we're going to Xyz summon the first one into our Abyss Dweller. Xyz summon our second one into our Totally Awesome. And then just set the Pandemonium. Now what does this do compared to the normal build? So what this does is it provides 2 actual interruptions. Abyss Dweller may not be as good right now, however, we can go ahead and replace this with other cards that I personally would recommend. Giant Hand, gosh, there's not that much. Got, I'm blanking this. Giant Hand, Tornado Dragon, generic rank 4s that would be very useful in certain situations. And that's all up to you on what you want to go ahead and do. However, with this situation, I believe that this is the best and most optimal build for this deck. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day.